I had never seen a guy my age that was so connected to the word of God. And it was real in his life. It wasn't like it wasn't fake, it wasn't pretend. He was legit connected. And that just to me was like, whoa, I want to have his babies.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of season 1 of the How to Relationship podcast, the podcast where we try to find out how to make relationships work by speaking to couples who are, making it happen. I'm your host, Anaith Lucia, and today we have Lisa and Kyle, who are an amazing couple. Actually, Lisa knows one of my friends who I actually had on the podcast in episode 2, I believe, Latrice. So that was pretty cool. I didn't know that they knew each other. And let's get right into it. Lisa and Kyle, thank you so much for being on the How to Relationship podcast. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, I just kind of want to say, because I just found out about this. First of all, I was talking to Lisa and I thanked her so much for agreeing to be on the podcast, because for any of you listening, if you have heard, I think my second episode, my friend Latrice was on there, and Lisa knows Latrice. That's how she found out about it. So cool. Yeah, small world. Before I start with the questions, if you could tell the audience, how long you guys have been together, been married, kids, basics.
We've actually known each other since middle school. We rode the same school bus. In high school, we hung out in the same social circles, but never dated. Like, I was interested in him, but I was that awkward girl in high school. Like, everyone thought I was that weird girl, so I didn't pursue anything until after 2 years after we graduated high school. We stayed connected on Facebook, and we would talk from time to time on Facebook. And he was home one year from college, just visiting for the holidays. And my good friend passed away while he was there. And he just happened to text me the same morning that I found out that she had passed away. And we have been on his hip ever since.
3 kids later.
3 kids later. So we've been together for
10 years.
Yeah, 11 years actually. 11. We got together in 2009, but we've been married for 8.
Wow, amazing. So now you have to elaborate on, because I always ask how you guys met. So you gave us a little preview. So now a little bit more details about we know you met in school, but also just I want to know how you ended up together after knowing each other.
After we hung out, it was Christmas time. Yeah, after that, she had a boyfriend.
I did.
So there was that. But we were always hanging out, so I was never on anything other than friendship.
Yeah.
We kept it real. And then that's when we started.
Yeah.
They y'all had that, and that relationship ended with you and another person. And then towards the end of the summer, and we just started kicking it extra hard, hanging out, and then by October, November timeframe, we started dating.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history. 2 years later? 2 years later we married?
Pretty much. We got married in 2012, so 3 years later.
3 years later. Time's flying now.
So it's actually funny. I forgot about the fact that I had a boyfriend.
I did.
When he and I became really, really close. That relationship was terrible anyway. And so he was my confidant. I would go to him all the time. Anytime I would leave my boyfriend's house, I would go to his house and just hang out, and like you said, it was never anything other than a friendship. Yeah, it was just a friendship, and he had become a really close friend of mine. And so when that relationship ended, I was actually happy, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go hang out with Kyle.
12 years later.
Yeah.
Still hanging out.
Right.
So, Kyle, you said it was like platonic, but at it, like while she had her boyfriend, did you have a crush on her or no? Like you were just, yeah, I'm wondering.
So, I mean, I've always found her attractive. She's a very beautiful woman. So, I wouldn't say it wasn't ever anything like I want to be with her just because like at that moment I had a lot going on. You know, I was
Mm.
chasing jeans. What is really dreams of college football. Yeah, so I was just eating up a lot of my time, sports, job, school. So I was just never really into the dating scene around that time. But that was like my junior year. So, and then, yeah, that kind of ended as far as the football, and then started getting some free time. So I was like, let me go hang out with Lisa. I'm really feeling this girl.
And how soon after her relationship ended did you guys like? Was it right away? Like, oh, I broke up with this guy. Let's be together. What happened?
Well, let me see. I remember it being summertime when that relationship ended, because it was like I would be at his house swimming all the time. His parents had a pool in the backyard, so literally as soon as that ended, I like threw a swimsuit on and went to his house, and we hung out by the pool. And but it wasn't until maybe October of that year, so it was like a few months later that we were like, okay, let's make it official.
Yeah, I knew I started liking her when I bought her a birthday gift, which I don't do for
Randoms.
randoms.
Oh.
Special. It was my 21st birthday, and
Yeah.
I was like, you bought me a gift.
Yeah. So that's when I do it. I was like, it's a little bit more than a like.
Aw, so cute. So, what was it? Because I'm always curious about this because, it's different things for different people. So, what was it about each other that you found attractive? That you're like, okay, I like this about them. I'm curious about like what it would be like to date them and stuff.
I would say for me, it was his faith in God that really just turned me on, because when we were just, and that's, I think that's why I gravitated so much to him, even in that relationship that I was in. So I grew up in the church, I grew up in ministry, and I had never seen a guy my age that was so connected to the word of God. And it was real in his life. It wasn't like it wasn't fake, it wasn't pretend. He was legit connected. And that just to me was like, whoa, I want to have his babies.
Nice.
I'm with it.
What about you?
So yeah, the equal is biblically speaking, I guess, equally yoked. We have a similar foundation in life that was laid out before us, and what we believe and how we wanted to pursue our lives moving forward. It was if we were going to struggle everywhere else in life, at least that's one place we agree.
Right.
And to be honest, that's really what's been keeping us together, because in marriage and dating, there's just so much say like just little trials and tribulations that come that test you in a way that if you're not committed, it's too easy to walk away.
Yeah.
And if you don't have, and just not even from a biblical standpoint, if you don't have that commitment, then it just won't work. And with her, she had the similar background that I did, that faith. With her, she's a praise nut. Like, this woman will bust out in any song, anywhere. And to me, I thought that was dope, because I'm more of the not verbal praise. So we're like, when yin and yang, we're complete opposites in every way. Not, I don't know if we have anything in common other than our foundation, to be honest. So that's,
as far as interests, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yoga.
There it is, and that's something we learned together in marriage. So that's kind of dope. That was something that we both gravitated towards. So really helps out.
Nice. Okay, so now I'm always curious about this as well, because especially for guys, because to me, I don't know, just because I guess I have bad experiences. I'm like, how do I always wonder, like, what makes a guy want to get married? Because all I hear is guys don't want to get married. So I want to know from both of you when you knew you wanted to marry each other. Like, if there was like a certain moment or just some, like, how did you know?
Well, honestly, prior to getting married, I think we knew that we wanted to spend the rest of our lives together. We had planned on waiting until 30.
That didn't happen.
Yeah, but God had other plans. We ended up getting pregnant in 2012. And that's the year we got married as well, because we didn't want a baby out of wedlock.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. So yeah, we even though we knew that we wanted to be married when we were dating, we knew that, okay, this is the guy I want to spend the rest of my life with. But you know, just kind of got our plans got on the fast track once we really connected.
Yeah, so I guess from my perspective, yeah, we talked about it way before. We were pretty early on in our dating relationship. And for me, and it was more instilled like growing up, like to wait till 30. That was my magic number. Wait till 30, get my 20s out the way. Hindsight, would it have been easier just because you know, the growth that you have as a man, or like I wouldn't even say as a man, as a 20 something in general, you see all your friends going out and just like they're free to do whatever. I was in the military. It was a crazy year. So I graduated from college, joined the military, Lisa got pregnant, and then we got married. So that was an insane year.
Wow.
Yeah,
just thinking about it, it's like
yes, at 24. So it was a lot to take on, a lot of growing in that time. And then I know for me personally, I wasn't in a space mentally to take all that on at once. But Lisa was, when I say she's like the foundation of our relationship, she's the one who made it work when, you know, I was deployed or gone for training. She was the one holding it down, dealing with everything at home, and I couldn't have picked a better wife. So, yeah, it's just pretty awesome. So now that I'm 30 and like it's the family is really setting in, and it's just really dope now to enjoy. So I let all that 20 something, the go hard chase of life go, but she still lets me go and live my life. And I don't say like is it a personal level, but just enjoy the things I enjoy. Which is typically more outdoorsy, which is kind of opposite of what she enjoys. So that's what I mean, like when she lets me do what I enjoy. So that's the awesome part of our relationship now. It's just kind of like a new season.
I agree with that.
How long were you deployed? Like how long were you away from them, and how far apart were you?
Well, deployed gets. It's just I was deployed in the Middle East 2 times for 6 months each, and then the training leading up to that, you're typically gone for 3 months prior to that, just with all the different trainings. So that's like 9 months out of the year, twice. I was in the Army 6 years? Yeah. Active duty 2 years in the Guard. So yeah, just a lot of growth and independence from Lisa's viewpoint. Like I feel like I've always had it easier because I was always, you know, doing fun stuff and
jumping out of
airplanes, you know, running and gunning and doing all the things that you know, young 20 somethings want to do. Right. And I did make some sacrifices because I wanted to go to the elites of the military, like Rangers, Special Forces, but
I wouldn't let them.
It's not. She would have let me. She would have let me, but she said, you know, it would have been hard on her. So out of respect for that, but ironically, I ended up where I wanted to be anyway, just in a support role. So it worked out.
And during your time that you guys were apart, then how were you able to, you know, stay strong in terms of like your relationship and trust each other and all that?
We weren't. Those were some of the hardest times of our relationship, was the deployment, because one, we were separated from each other. We had very young kids, like our baby, I had 2 babies under 2 during his first deployment. And so it was a lot of stress being mom and dad. Then we had outside stressors weighing in on our relationship. And so, yeah, those were actually some of our weaker moments in our marriage. But I like to say, I wouldn't even call it a weak moment. Those were the moments that we took and learned to grow from because of the battles that we had to fight, and even the healing. Like, we're still healing from some of those situations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and what she's truly understating what we went through during that time period, and a lot of it has to do with her resilience. I don't even know if I would sure, she was strong, but her persistence, man, the woman just won't quit. And she was destined, determined to make it work. And where I fell short as, the man of the house, to the designed or intended to provide that covering and safety, which I didn't early on, from, if we're gonna be open and honest, from my family. So, there's between certain members of my family didn't care for our relationship, and I allowed that to affect my thought process, my how I approached and how I handled it. And it was really hard and unfortunate, especially as a younger individual, trying to digest all that. And then you're deployed, and then you got to worry about real life situations that have very real, tangible repercussions for not paying attention to detail, and then having to deal with family issues. So that's something that a lot of military people deal with, is, families, and it's almost, it's something that is built into the community, just to learn how to handle it and move on. And how we handle trauma is through jokes. Everything becomes a joke: death, divorce, kids. Everything is it was real psychological trauma that you go through just to overcome and cope with what you're going through in that moment, and coming back and having to heal through all that. And she's kind of been my foundation, which I could lean on, even though the rift between us, when we coming back initially, you always get the joyous moment, right? Yeah, all right. That lasts for about 2 weeks,
right? And then it's
then life kicks in. You don't see that on TV. Yeah, life kicks in about 2 weeks, and then you gotta remesh. And then some people who handle it better. Some people just don't have that problem. Not everybody does, but so that was something that for us, I pray that was the hardest part of our relationship.
Same. Yes.
Wow. Well, you guys made it, and I think it probably made you stronger, would you say?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely a learning experience, for sure. Yeah.
And now I'm really curious about this too. I need to know, if you don't mind sharing, what was the proposal like? Who proposed to who? How did it happen?
Redo is on the books. It was not romantic. It wasn't. No.
It was okay. So literally, I remember. Okay, I told him the news of being pregnant, and he had just joined the military, and so he's like, "Well, we might as well get married. That way, you have insurance." It was more. But at least he was thinking ahead for me and our child.
It was out of love. I've never been a romantic person to begin with, so it's not that I'm working on it. It's not that I just, it's not a love language for me. So that's something I have to learn, and it's very much so for her. So I'm working on getting better.
But he did, on the day that we got married, he got down on one knee and proposed to me right before we got married.
Aww.
So that was sweet. I still remember that. I still remember the mountains in the background. That was still special to me, even though it was because I didn't accept it. To me, we were already okay, we're married. We're getting married. Cool. And so when he did that, I was just like, oh my gosh.
But there's going to be a round 2, and it's going to be much better. So.
And it's gonna be surprise, right? Like,
100% has to be surprised.
Yeah.
Even though she doesn't like surprises,
I
she
don't.
says she doesn't, but she likes surprises. It's manageable surprises.
so Kyle, you said that your family didn't really agree with the relationship. So were they at least there for the wedding or no?
Oh, sorry.
No, you said Kyle.
Okay, yeah. It was actually me, Lisa, and two of my army buddies, and I don't know
The
which,
the minister,
the
the one,
minister, that we
Mhm.
found
online. We just Googled who could get us married and like
Okay.
and we
legally.
we met in a park
under a tree.
Under a tree. We sure did.
Nice.
Just two
Awesome.
witnesses.
With two
None of our
witnesses.
family was there.
None of our family, and it was very spur of the moment. Her family knew, but they were busy. Like they were in they were in Hawaii or something like that, right?
No, I think my family knew, but they kind of respected. They knew what was going on between
my family.
Yeah, and so I let them know that I was going out to Arizona. That's where he was for training, and we were getting married. And we didn't want any family involved, and so my parents supported from afar. They sent us well wishes on the day of, but they didn't show up, and I appreciate that because it would have just stirred up a lot more conflict if my family was there and his wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Interesting, because that's one thing I've noticed most, like, I think pretty much every couple I've interviewed, like, they had really small, like, not outlandish ceremonies. So maybe that's the key. One of the keys. Do not spend so much money on a wedding. That has nothing to do with true love, maybe. I don't know.
I agree. I think that's one thing that we've never stressed or struggled with is finances.
Yeah.
And we've never gone above and beyond or overstretched our income. So whatever our income was, that's what it was, and we stayed within that ballpark. My family, we were raised, very budget minded.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of carried that into our relationship, which was very helpful. And Lisa, he
was a godsend for me because I will just swipe. I love spending money, but he has definitely reined that in, and that's a good thing because now we can have a roof over our head that we love.
And it's not a controlling thing; it's just a budgetary thing. So if you can get it, get it. If you can't, hey, next month, hopefully it'll come, and then you can get what you want.
Nice. So that's pretty cool. You guys you seem to balance each other out in like a lot of different aspects, because you guys said that you don't really have a lot in common in terms of your likes. One is a little bit more frugal than the other, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I know, Lisa, you have couple businesses. So is that does Kyle help you with that, or is all just you, or?
No, he's so because he is the financial, he's more financially responsible than I am. I
wouldn't say responsible.
He's
I'm more money minded.
Yeah,
it's not that I'm more.
He was an econ major, so
Okay.
and so with that, I definitely put all type of money situations. I've been telling him he's my CFO for my butter business, because I'm like, I can't, if it's me, I'm just gonna go buy it. But he's like, no, we need to shop around, we need to do, and find certain vendors, work with certain. So he helps me in that aspect. And we're actually forming a nonprofit where we feed the homeless. We've been feeding the homeless every Friday for 2 months.
Nice.
And so now we want to expand it. And he's really been hands-on with the nonprofit, with coming up with ideas, even going out there helping me pass out these plates, and he's awesome. Does he make the products? No, but he's definitely there to help. He will promote my business on his Facebook, because I don't have a Facebook. And so, he's there when in the capacity that he can be, and I appreciate it.
Oh.
This is the person who has all the ideas and the visions, and she just makes it happen. So it's like she's had 3 of my babies and now 2 of her own babies. So these
Howard,
okay, yeah,
we're growing
sure.
them together.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Power couple right here. Since you are, you're married, obviously, and then you're also kind of working on, like Lisa's business. Like, does that ever cause any conflict, or how do you deal with that? Because I have a rule right now where I don't really work with people I date, because in the past when I have, it didn't go well. So maybe for those of us who might want to do it in the future, what would you say to that?
I mean, I would agree with you. I wouldn't work with anybody that I'm dating either.
That's true.
Especially tying any kind of monies together and we're just dating. Never in a million years would I do that. As I said, I'm money minded. That's mine. Until we say I do, yeah, playa. You got to do you. But as far as like working together, I would say it's more. We're pretty good at that. Yeah, sure, we've had like tit for tats, and as far as what they call them, heated fellowships.
That's what we like to call it, heated fellowships.
It's a cute way to say arguments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've had conversations where we've had to look at each other's perspective. Where, for instance,
time. A lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with us sorting our schedule out, because we're also homeschooling our kids.
Wow.
And he works as well. He works from home. And so most of our conflict when it comes to business is, okay, when am I going to have time to do this? And when is he going to have time? And but between the 2 of us, no, there's no power struggle. There's no conflict or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much we support each other as far as like our dreams and goals. I think that's one thing that's pretty dope about our relationship. I've never felt scared to go to her with something that I want to do. And I hope that, I can't speak for you, but I hope that is the same for you, because like just chasing dreams and ambitions. Like one thing I guess I love, or not I guess, I know that I love about this woman is just her obedience to, again, going back to that spiritual tie to God. And she says that's my foundation. This woman will, like, if she hears a whisper, she's going to jump up and do it, to the point where she'll put on clothes and go sing at someone's funeral that she doesn't know. That happens. So yeah, this woman's just freaking awesome, and it's always a spirit of joy whenever it is out of obedience. So I don't argue that. If it's of love, if it's of a positivity, hey, 100% go do what it is that you want to do.
So that story of singing at a funeral, it's a very interesting story, because I was sitting at home, and literally, like he said, I heard God's voice, and he was just like, go for a drive. And I just went for a drive. I put some clothes on and I was driving around, and then I was just like, let me turn down this street. And then at the end, it was like a dead end road. I had never been down this street, but a dead end road that led to a cemetery. And there was a family there burying their loved one. And I heard, like, clear as day, go sing for them. And I was like, what? Because I like to sing. I love to sing. But at that time, I was not confident in my voice. So I was just like, But I went and I sang I Can Only Imagine, as the family, it was right as the family had lowered the body into the ground, and I was singing I Can Only Imagine. Nervous, as like voice shaking the whole time.
Wow.
But
oh my gosh,
all the tears were gone by the time I opened my eyes. Like, and everyone had a smile on their face, and everyone was thanking me, like, you brought us so much joy. And when I walked back to my car, there was a guy visiting a gravesite, like way off in the distance. But he saw me coming, and he stopped me and was like, I just want to tell you that the wind carried your voice all the way over here, and you have a voice of an angel. And I was just like,
oh my gosh.
Okay, thanks.
Wow.
So that was it. But that was probably one of the first moments where it was clear to me, like hearing the voice of God and then following and seeing how much of a blessing I could be to others.
Wow. My gosh, that's amazing. That's beautiful. Okay, so I have to ask because it seems like you guys are together a lot with the homeschooling, working from home, and like, you know, you're having your own business. Like, are you guys ever apart, or like how do you not get tired of each other? That's one of the things that I wonder. Especially like I know a lot of couples that maybe they're experiencing, you know, right now during this time, probably being together a lot, and probably they might be having a lot of what's it called, fellowships.
You can use it. It's okay. It's not mine.
Yeah, they might be having a lot of those because they don't really know how to handle being together a lot. So how do you guys handle that?
I think what's important is giving each other time to do what we love. So he has picked up cycling, which he is absolutely in love with. And those are those moments that he can escape, you know, because yeah, you do get tired of each other. You know, you get tired of seeing looking at the same face and so we give each other that time where he can go out and cycle. My thing is right now I'm doing yoga teacher training. And so that takes up, which is my passion. So it's like how he does it to release and get and do what he loves. Going and learning yoga and learning the foundational things, I'm just like, I love it. Like so the fact that we have separate things that don't involve each other at all kind of keeps us grounded within our relationship.
Nice. Okay.
And I think like yoga as well is not that yoga in of itself is the thing that ties it together, but it does learn how to take you within yourself. And for me, dealing with a lot of like I said, like mental stuff from the past, learning how to spend time with yourself is extremely important. And sometimes the hardest person to spend time with is yourself. You know, and sitting still, your body's made to naturally move. If you sit still for too long, you know, it's not pleasant when you first start doing it. Meditate for 3 minutes, you're gonna, it's hard the first time.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the more at peace, the more relaxed you become. Like I did today, I was about to lose it, and I had to, you know, go and, as they say in yoga, do a flow, and it was just like a weight was lifted off of me. It was just through breathing and moving and releasing those, you know, the desire to get out and do something. It's just like, just be present, be in the moment, because that's what life is, right? Just being in the moment, being here now. You're only going to get this moment one time, and just enjoy it. Why bring negative energy, negative thoughts into the moment, into life? And from a relationship standpoint, the biggest thing for me is just forgiveness. I think forgiving the small things, forgiving the big things, and then forgiving myself for when I fall short, because I feel like I'm my biggest critic. And how I've managed our relationship in the past, and relationship with our kids. You know, when you snap when you're not supposed to snap, you know, that's very real. So you just have to learn how to forgive yourself. And a lot of times your family's more willing to forgive you than you are of yourself. And if you don't forgive yourself, you can't let go of that and move forward. So I think that's what's really helping me in the practice that she's been learning with yoga. So that's dope.
Nice. So what advice would you have for, you know, 'cause I feel like you've probably learned something throughout this times about like handling disagreements and conflict?
So
Still learning?
yeah, we're still learning, but we're, you know,
it's gotten a lot better.
It has, because now the advice I would give is, one, don't try and handle it while you're still riled up, while that heart is still pounding, while your blood pressure is still raised, because all ears are shut off. Like, we're not hearing each other. We just want our view or our perspective to be heard. Whereas if we take the time, like I used to be the type to just, you gonna hear me and I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna be, and after going through this yoga training, I'm learning to step back, breathe. And even in conflict, I'm learning to ask certain questions rather than being accusatory, like, oh, well, you did this to me and you hurt me it's more, okay, how can we move forward? This is the issue. We know what the issue is. Rather than talking about the issue, which most couples do in arguments, we're just going to talk about what's wrong. Let's identify the issue and then make a plan to move forward. Okay, this is the issue. Let's work on this. This is the work I need to do. And I think that's where we are now. We don't tell each other, this is how you need to change. Whenever we have a conflict, we start going within ourselves like, okay, well, how could I have handled this differently? How could I have handled this better? So I think those type of things, just being a little bit more mindful would be my advice. Just taking your time during conflict. It don't have to be settled right away. It's nice when it is, but if you're still reeling in emotion, it's not gonna get settled.
Yeah. And I think something recently learned is the power of questions. If you don't ask questions, you're automatically assuming. And a lot of times that's with your own perspective, your own bias. So even though you've been together for so long, you feel like you know the person. The reality is that that's a completely separate person. And the power of a good question will help you understand what that person's going through, where their thought process is. And when I say question, it's not the intent to answer the question. And that's something, or to fix the question, or to answer the question with a fixed mindset. But and that's something that we're working towards too, just asking more and more questions, better questions throughout the day, versus, just I love you, or, you're awesome, stuff like that. But,
questions like something that I asked him, I ask him from time to time is what do you need from me in order to be, happy, or in order to feel however, so it's never, those are the type of questions we ask from each other. He'll come to me and he'll ask me, is there anything this week that I've offended you? Like these type of questions, because a lot of, sometimes you'll get offended and you'll just hold it in, and then there's that silence or that disconnect. And so when you're coming and you're asking these questions regularly, hey, is there anything that I did this week that offended you? You can calmly have a conversation like, okay, well, either no, or, well, you kind of did this one time and I felt some type of way. And he'll apologize, and we'll start working towards a better tomorrow,
Wow, it's great. So it's, kind of like respecting each other and listening to each other's feelings, and awesome. Great.
It was hard for me, but we're getting.
Yeah, for sure.
So how has your partner helped you grow?
Well, honestly, Kyle, I would not be doing yoga if it weren't for him. He has been telling me for years that I need to practice yoga because, okay, one thing we haven't mentioned, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease in 2006. So even prior to getting married and prior to dating, I was sick. And he knew it, which I always think is like amazing that he still decided to marry me, knowing that, not truly knowing what came along with it, but knowing that I had, an illness. And I honestly, I don't even remember where I was going with that. What was the question?
How has your partner helped you grow?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, okay. Then I started talking about yoga. So when I was really, really sick, like I used to be in the hospital all the time. Every year around this time would be the times that I would go into it would flare and I would be in the hospital. And he used to tell me back then, like, you got to try yoga. You should try yoga for your pain. And I ignored him for a very long time. And it wasn't until last year or the year before, I was dealing with really bad anxiety, like to the point that I was having panic attacks. And I went to the doctor and she suggested the same thing. She's like, I don't want to prescribe any medication. I think you should do yoga. And so I'm like, all right, my husband's been asking me to do it for a while. Now my doctor's pretty much prescribing me yoga. So let me go ahead and do it. And so I grew a lot from that practice. And he has been there along the way. We flow together all the time. I think that has been one of the major growth points for me in my life. But even like we mentioned before, we grew through struggle as well. And recognizing certain people or certain things that didn't serve our relationship, we learned to let go of or back away from.
Okay.
For sure. I say for me, it's kind of funny because one of the things, like when we first got together, I used to rag on was her lack of commitment or inconsistency with anything. But now she's a rock star. Like I'll just be like, yo, you're going so hard. Calm down. Like, relax. It's gonna be okay if it doesn't get done today. But she's like, I made a schedule. We're sticking to the schedule. And it's like, wow. Like, I've always been on someone's schedule, so being committed wasn't me necessarily. It's always I was on someone else's timeline. So my commitment was like, yeah, I'm disciplined, but it wasn't necessarily for myself. Whereas her, it's strictly for herself, which is like, wow, you know, I mean, you're up 5:30 where the day started, you're going, whereas like I'm up 5:30 because I gotta go work out because someone told me to, right? Whereas like her, it's just all self-drive, and it's been like that for a couple years now. Yeah, and it's been awesome to see and watch her growth and just seeing what commitment does to a person, and how everybody just kind of naturally gravitates towards her now. And it all just started with doing something every single day. And you know, we talk about yoga, from yoga to our plant-based eating, which she started that whole initiative. And I mean, it's phenomenal. I eat like a king and I don't have to eat meat. You know, everybody else is struggling. I'm just like, yeah, how much is meat today? I don't care, you know. We're eating rabbit food and it's delicious. So yeah, give me more. And you know, I can't thank her enough for the lifestyle she's introducing to me and our kids, and what they'll be exposed to, and just being willing to try something new outside of what you've been previously taught. And that's a powerful thing to move forward in life. Like if you only attach yourself to something you already know, there's no growth. And that commitment encourages that growth, and she brings that to our family every single day.
Beautiful. Okay, so I think you might have already touched on it, but what are your favorite qualities about the other person?
He's funny. He makes me laugh. And, you know, I love to laugh. I love a good belly laugh. He's hilarious to me. Like, just in the most random ways. We have a lot of fun together. And then I love that he likes to travel, because so do I. So he's, you know, we're all 2020 kind of slowed us down, but we're always like thinking of the next trip. Like, where are we gonna go? Where are we? Like his thrill for adventure is amazing. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Aww. I love that laugh, for one. That laugh really gets me going. So if I'm on a roll with the jokes, I get more laughs. So it encourages me to keep cracking jokes. And then at some point, she's just like, you're not funny, so stop. But the laughs I do get, I appreciate. So thank you. And yeah, like we said, the consistency piece, where she's just like the new consistency. I'm not gonna call it new, because it's who she is now. And I just love that. And like she said, her passion for traveling, and a phenomenal mother. I mean, our kids, everywhere we go, someone has something awesome to say about our kids, and really, it's because they have an awesome mom. I wasn't there for most of their young upbringing. I was there, but just in time. The time I wasn't there for most of their young upbringing, but and it's who they are today is a lot of who she instilled in them, and that's just what more can I ask for? The future of our generations or our legacy is in better hands because of their mother. So that's pretty dope.
Oh my god. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. I need that on the podcast. Thank you. So now another question, kind of similar, but this is something. Okay, what's something that's you love about your partner that maybe other people don't really know that you wish more people knew?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. That other people knew.
Right.
Maybe like a side that you see that other people don't. You're like, oh, if only more people knew this awesome thing that they do.
I got one.
Oh.
All right. How big this woman's heart is. Like, nobody, and it stems from life experiences. So she freely gives so much of herself, and people don't appreciate it, honestly. I don't think they appreciate it enough. And it comes from a place of understanding what people go through. And when I see someone reject her for being her, it kind of hurts me because it's like, ooh, you don't know her and why she does what she does, or how she overextends herself to people who claim they want something from her but aren't really ready. They're just talking, and that's okay. To talk and to move in that direction, that's fine. But her heart's so big that she just wants to just give it to you right now. I'm going to give you everything that you want and need because you told me, and I genuinely care and want to help. And that's something I'm like, hey, baby girl, I love you, but you gotta, you can't give everybody everything all the time. You know what I mean? It's the people who come to you that are genuinely in your corner, that rock with you, that you give the most time to. Everybody can get a piece, but the instilling of the time and energy, because to be honest, it takes away from me, and I'm jealous in that area. So if she's texting somebody and they're not appreciating her time, it's like, hey, I appreciate it, so back off. It's my turn, right?
Okay.
I think for me, man, that people don't realize about you. I honestly, I feel like what you see is what you get with this man. He's very straightforward. He doesn't try and be someone he's not, like, at all. He doesn't put on a front like, hey, this is who I am. These are my thought processes, and that's that. I do get the more intimate side. He says that he's not, a romantic, but then I woke up the other morning to a thank you note. He just randomly wrote me a note, and so people don't really see his lovey-dovey side the way I do. I love it.
Yeah. That's not how I grew up.
Oh, it's beautiful. The last question, and then I'm going to have some other quick ones, but I know there's not maybe just one answer, but what would you say for you guys has been like one of the most I guess the key to lasting marriage or relationship for you guys? What do you think it has been?
For us, it really was our faith in God.
Yeah, and the commitment. We made a commitment. We were going to stick to that commitment. Yeah. We knew that we did not, divorce was not something that we wanted. I mean, we have teetered the line, like during that deployment period, we were kind of ready to call it quits. But I think the key to our relationship was truly our faith in God, and on an individual level, and then as a couple.
Because when we didn't see eye to eye, we knew we could go to God and talk and hear from him and pray. And then when we were seeing eye to eye and things are good, we still come together, and the foundation of our relationship is God. So that's the key to making it work. If things aren't working, that's exactly where we go. We go to God.
Okay.
Yeah. Commitment to faith, and then it is evident as far as our personal relationships, because the more personable our relationship is with our spiritual connection, then the more apt we are to seek forgiveness from one another without being prompted, I believe. So being able to go saying I'm sorry when you don't want to, because that's the hard part. It's easy to say I'm sorry, but even when you're not wrong per se, but you just hurt the other person's feelings, beyond what was needed, beyond what was needed. I needed you to hear. No, that's not what I'm saying. But yeah. If the conversation gets too left and right or out of line, then just being able to come and say, "Hey, look, I understand that what I did hurt you, and please forgive me. The love is still there," and to me that's awesome, because that's how I know that she still has a relationship with God. When she comes and apologizes, she's generally the one to apologize first. I'm not gonna lie, she's awesome. She's awesome. Like I'm the introvert. I'm the one that holds on to anger and just let it fester until the point where it's just I explode. And I'm getting to the point now where I could let things go a lot quicker, and I don't snap. I don't explode as I used to, which to me is more peaceful, because dealing with the aftermath of that is very draining. You know what I mean? And then the relationships in the family change. Everybody's kind of like looking at you side eyeing. You want to walk into a room with love, and it's tangible when you walk into a room with your kids and your kids jump on you, and you don't jump on your kids. To me, like that's my reward. Like I know I'm being a good dad and being a good husband when my wife comes and gives me a hug. And I'm more the physical person in the relationship. She's more the words of affirmation. So when she gives me my needs, I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, I'm doing it right."
Nice. That is so interesting, because that was going to be my next question. I was going to ask you guys about your love languages, but you already answered.
Good. Next.
Yup.
Definitely words of affirmation. That's my love language. You just uplift me, and you have my heart forever. I think my way of expressing my love language to others, I'm a giver. Gifts and then acts of service would be how I express my love.
Yeah, for me, it's physical touch. If I don't touch you, I don't like you.
He won't shake anyone's hand if he doesn't.
I won't shake it. I keep it straightforward. I don't. If we don't jive, we don't jive. It's nothing personal. I don't wish ill will on nobody. It's just like, you are who you are. Please just be over there. I'm happy looking at you over there. And and that's where I'm good at. But yeah, for me, personal touch. Close second would be words of affirmation, but for others, I would say like acts of service is generally how I express. Because what do you give a guy? Like, I guess you could, but that's just never been my thing. So I'll help you move before I give you something. Put it like that. Okay. And for me, it's like, I'd rather someone help me move than give me a bag or a pair of shoes or something like that. Like, help me live my life, and you'll be my friend for life.
Yeah. So how did you, because I noticed when I've tried to it's really hard, I think just in general, to get guys to take any tests like that. Like they will not want to take them. And I'm just like, it's going to help you in our relationships. Just take it. So, Kyle, did Lisa somehow convince you, or how did you learn about your love languages?
So you actually, you introduced the book to me.
Yeah. So I grew up. I'm somewhat of a nerd. So even though I've always been on, I cater to more of my athletic side. I'm secretly a nerd at heart. I like to
Okay.
read. Not. I haven't. Let's be honest. I haven't read like a solid book in a while, but I do read a lot of different like commentaries. Obviously, I read scripture, but like cover to cover, not so much. But a lot of self evaluation. I tend to reflect a lot on what I can do better. And I don't know where that comes from, honestly. It's kind of how I've always been. I've always been an introvert. Being shy, I grew up shy. So I guess that's where I was fortunate just to have a lot of that self reflection. I've never been scared to. Yeah, I've taken numerous personality tests. I don't know how accurate they are. Sometimes they vary, but just in my everyday life, when I sit back and look at what makes me happy, what I choose to allow to bring me joy, right? Because it's a choice, not something that's placed upon me. So in understanding what makes me tick, really helps day-to-day life. And I know where I fall short. I know where, if I could tell you when I hurt Lisa's feelings, and sometimes I'll just be like, yeah, she kind of deserved it in the moment, but and then I go back and I ask for forgiveness because it's not right at the end of the day. That's my helpmate, and why should she feel that way? So a lot of that self-reflection comes from me being an introvert, me being shy, and my parents were they encouraged me to read. My mother was awesome in that aspect. Really, really set the foundation for me intellectually.
Okay.
Yeah, and with that being said, like I think your mother was the one that introduced the book to our relationship while we were dating.
Yeah.
I think for Christmas one year, she bought both of us, right? Or maybe we had.
Look, yeah, it was
two
Love and
books.
Respect.
Yeah,
Love
she
and
bought us
Respect.
2 books, Love and Respect, and then the 5 Love Languages. And so we were actually introduced to that then, but it wasn't until after we got married that and I don't think we ever read it together, but I remember we started reading it together. But I remember reading it while you were deployed.
I've read the book.
Yeah, we've read them separately, just never together. We're actually trying to do better at reading together. Relationship books together.
Okay.
But yeah, the 5 love languages, it wasn't anything forced on us. It was more like it was gifted to us, and we took it and learned from it. Yeah, applied it.
Well, that's pretty cool. Like that, your mom just kind of decided to kind of help you guys. I wish I would have known about that. Like, I just found out about love languages like 2 years ago. I'm like, this would have helped me so much if I knew about this earlier.
For sure.
Just understanding yourself is important.
Right.
Because you gotta live with you, right? Like, well, you gotta live with you before you live with anybody else. And you got anything happening, but the reality is life isn't promised to nobody, and having you and your own foundation is critical, I believe. Yeah. So you can't tie yourself up into another person completely, but at some point I feel like we're becoming one. Like it's weird in a sense, like we're individuals, but like we move together in our thought. It's strange. It's really dope, but it's just like it's not something we force. It just kind of happens.
Okay. And one last kind of personality question. I just asked this just because I'm curious and I'm kind of into it, but it's not like, I don't regard it as like the law. I just like kind of like you. I also like to just kind of get to know myself, try to understand other people as well. So do you guys by any chance know your Myers-Briggs personality type?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, okay. So that's a no. That's fine though. It's yeah. There's like the different that's another test you can take. Yeah, there's like 16 different types, and they'll have like 4 letters. So like I'm INFP, and then the I stands for introvert. So your first letter is either an I or an E, but it's a spectrum. Some people are like right in the middle. Some people are like a lot more extroverted. Some are like more introverted. So it just kind of helps like when I take the test like every few like years just to see if I get a different result, but I keep getting the same one. But it's just a good way to kind of like understand each other. And then you notice patterns, because I've noticed that like a lot of my friends and just people that I seem to gel with seem to be like similar types. So, but I'm not like, it's like I said, it's not like a law. Like if you're a different type that I'm not really compatible with, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. But it just kind of helps understand people better, maybe their motivations, why they do things the way they do. And that way you're not so like, oh, why is this person doing this? And I don't like them. Then if you can kind of understand them a little bit better and helps. Yeah. So, I just like to see, especially like for couples, like the combinations. So that's why I was asking.
I can tell you, I'm an introvert by nature.
Yeah, and I'm an extrovert. Like, I love people. I love being out. Yeah, we're like yin and yang for real.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Nice.
grown out of my shyness. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody, but I am just as cool not talking to somebody as I am talking to them. It doesn't really bother me too much.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas I'm like, hey friend, everybody's my friend. Like
they won best.
Yeah, like I'm just a social butterfly, like
Mm-hmm.
2020 has been rough on me for that reason, because it's like I'm so used to talking to people and connecting with people, but it has also opened up the avenue to connect virtually with even more people than I would in my own social sphere.
Just that. Sounds good.
Yeah. So you take it, even though it was difficult to learn how to reel in the social butterfly. It was still a blessing with 2020 and being able to grow a social media presence.
Mm-hmm. So before we end, what do you have any? I know your businesses. This is your time to kind of plug anything, any social media, TikToks, whatever. Let us know where people can find you and follow you.
Well, you can follow me so I actually have 3 pages. One is devoted to yoga and the family. One is devoted to vegan. And my yoga page is at Love and Lisa 88. This is all on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So at Love and Lisa 88 is my yoga page. I have a food page that is dedicated to all plant-based eating. You can find my cookbook there. I have a virtual cookbook that is online and it's available to purchase. And that page is at The Free Life 365. That's all one word. And so that one is the food page. And then my business page is my healing butters. And that one is at Sisters with an S Skin _ healing butters. Sisters Skin Healing Butters.
So I'm going to link all of that in the video description and show notes for the audio version. Anything else other than those Instagrams?
Oh yeah, and my website is www.sisterskin.net. Those are the active things. A lot of the first page I gave you, my yoga page, is where I'm documenting our nonprofit as well. So that doesn't have a separate page, but if anybody's interested in seeing what we do each week with the homeless, they can look at that. And I have story highlights that shows like pictures of us or the food that I cook, not pictures of us like handing it out, but whatever the kids pulling the wagon full of food and things like that. All of those can be found on my yoga page.
Nice. All right. So before we end the show, is there any other piece of advice or words of wisdom you want to share?
Words of wisdom, love?
Words of wisdom? Oh, you can do it.
Yeah, no, truly.
If we could do it, you can do it. I would say don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to chase your dream. Like I'm understanding what that means the older I get. money doesn't necessarily have to come from a 9 to 5. It can just be, your true passion, who you are. It can come from that, as long as you're willing to put in the work. As I watch Lisa chase her passions, and she literally just wakes up and has fun all day. That's what she does. It's dope. I work, so that's not to say I don't like what I do, but it's definitely a different vibe for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So do chase what you love. That's what life's about. And cherish every moment because it's short.
And I think as far as relationship words of wisdom, just always approach things with an open mind and an open heart, because oftentimes when there's conflict, the conflict isn't really what the person is truly dealing with. And so when you go with that open mind and that open heart, you can get to the root of what's truly bothering your partner. Whereas if you're kind of closed off and you're only seeing
the face value,
the face value or the action, you're not really diving deep to see what's going on and hopefully not fix, because it's not our job to fix each other, but to be there as a confidant, as a help if they need it. So just being open with each other too, like even from the other partner standpoint, being open and honest about how they're feeling, rather than locking up and closing out the partner. There's no growth there. So just the openness is my word of advice.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are at the end. I can't believe I am always surprised that the hour passes by really quick. Thank you so much, Lisa and Kyle, for being here and sharing your story. I loved learning about you guys and your relationship, and I'm pretty sure everyone else listening is inspired and just you made their day, I'm sure.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was actually a good talk.
It was.
Between us, yeah, it was dope.
Yeah, we don't, well, I didn't say we don't, because he does affirm me a lot, but it's nice to sit down and really, you asked us a lot of thought-provoking questions about our relationship that we've not really voiced to each other. So that we appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad I could help. Everyone listening, please go check out their social media. And thank you again, Lisa and Kyle. Stay safe. And hopefully, we don't live too far. So maybe one day I'll do a catch-up interview or something in person, maybe.
Look, we'll go to Miami. Don't threaten us with a good time.
You gotta show us all the spots, though. That's the only trade-off. We gotta go to all the spots.
For sure. I live right by the beach too. The beach is literally behind my building, so. All right. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. And that's it for this episode of the How to Relationship podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I truly, truly appreciate it. And we have a few episodes left of season 1. I do 10 episodes per season on my podcast, and I'm hoping to have a bonus episode for season 1 as well. So please stay tuned. I'm also planning on doing some giveaways. So, you gotta, look out for that. And I will announce them on my Instagram, the Instagram for this podcast at How to Relationship Podcast on Instagram. So make sure you follow it. So, when, the giveaways are, starting. And if you are in a, long lasting relationship and you feel like you have, you want to share your story, want to be together, want to be on the podcast together as a couple, I would definitely love to hear from you. So please email me at htRelationshipPodcast@gmail.com. I also have the email in the show notes and video description on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to actually see the couples, because the audio is pretty good. You can have it on the go, but it's cute when you can actually see the couples interact with each other and, when they, kiss or just the way they look at each other. I think that's so cute, and you can't get that through the audio, but whichever way you listen, I appreciate it. Also, if you could leave a review, that'd be awesome too. That really helps us out, because there are so many relationship podcasts, but if you enjoy it, that's a way you can kind of, repay the podcast in a way, just, by helping us out by leaving a review. That would be amazing. So that's it for me as well. Thanks again for listening. I hope your 2021 is getting off to a great start. Stay tuned for our next episode. And again, I'm your host, Ana Lucia, and we'll see you next time on the How to Relationship podcast.